Hey, hello YouTubies, this is King Scribe. Thank you for watching this most bodacious, of course amazing YouTube video. Now I want to talk about smoking cannabis. Alright, now there's been a big stir about this for years on the internet. I've seen many people in the alternative health community and alternative community as well promoting this, smoking cannabis, as if it's the new trend in curing everything. And they say, oh, this poor little deer who was born with this genetic illness found that if she smoked or he smoked the cannabis, he was getting better. So why is the government stopped us from doing this? They've gone crazy like that. And they talk about cannabis and smoking it at the same time. I like to just point that out. Okay, I want to talk about the propaganda issue I have with this, because it seems to be that somebody out there, some shill or whatever, has turned this into a smoking cannabis is brilliant campaign. Alright, just like smoking cigarettes. I'm sure eating the plants that produce cigarettes is probably better, but smoking it is obviously much better, of course. Now, why is it the motherfucking alternative community, many who I know, have been talking about smoking cannabis as being great, as curing illnesses, and given some heart-wrenching images and thought-provoking, emotional-provoking stories about people being cured smoking cannabis? Why do they always have to talk about smoking it? Okay, I've never seen anybody yet on the internet, very few people actually talk about this. Cannabis doesn't need to be smoked. Alright? You can eat it. It's a plant. And by eating it, I'm sure you're getting more of the nutritional value from the plant than smoking it, than burning it, turning it to smoke, and then eating it through your lungs. You ever thought about that? Because most people don't seem to be thinking this way. They just talk about smoking it as if it's great. Smoking is not really that good for you. Sorry, but it does the lungs some damage. Alright? And it doesn't matter, you can give these sob fucking stories all you like, but smoking things does damage to your lungs. You're not supposed to do it. Your body isn't really made to breathe in smoke all the time. It just doesn't work that way. It certainly doesn't eat through its lungs. Well, maybe you can count taking in oxygen, so maybe it does in a way, but it doesn't eat food and nutrition through the lungs. It just takes in oxygen and it expels carbon dioxide and other dangerous substances from the body. So why don't they ever talk about eating it? I don't get that. I've seen it promoted on so many people who I actually respect on YouTube as smoking it all the time. Somebody who is well known in New Zealand actually made some comments about it, and I was thinking, don't say that. Don't say about smoking it, because it doesn't come out the right way. It actually shows that you are still partly brainwashed over this by the alternative community, because smoking is not a good thing. What you want to do is you want to ingest it in a better way. The alternative community should be a health community, helping people, not allowing these shills, motherfuckers, to damage it by giving false information. Alright? For you know, those people cured themselves from taking cannabis weren't smoking it. Alright? They could have been eating it, getting the nutritional value. And I've heard crazy people saying, if you smoke it, you get all the nutritional value of the thing. And I say, well, what happens if you eat it? Oh, you can't do that, because if you eat it, it's poisonous. Something like that. Although people do eat it. Or they say, if you cook it, you actually destroy the nutritional value. But yeah, fucking burning it into smoke and taking it into your fucking lungs does no damage to the nutritional value of the plant at all. Alright. Surely eating it is better. That's all I'm getting to in this video. And I want to know why the alternative community is going batshit crazy about smoking it all the time. They never give any other examples of how to take this stuff. And they say, oh, it's going to be legalized sometime in our lifetime. Well, yeah, so what? So if it is, I mean, I don't give a shit. Nah. There's many different ways of actually eating proper food and getting nutritional value from other things than smoking cannabis. It's not necessary, I don't think, but some people might work well for it. I mean, you know, I don't really see many animals in the wild smoking cannabis, and they seem to be doing all right. Yeah, they seem to be healthy. They don't seem to be dropping dead like us lot, even when we're young. Dogs, cats don't need to do it, and they're perfectly healthy. They have a naturally lesser life sentence. They have a lesser life expectancy than us. But what about elephants then? Do they smoke? They can live into the 70s. Do they smoke? No, they don't. Alright? They eat. And that's how they get their nutrition from. They eat it. They eat stuff. They know what to eat. And that's how you're supposed to live. But I'm against people promoting smoking as a great thing, because the cigarette industry used to do that. I'm sure they're going to get some bucks from this later on. I'm sure that's probably why they're actually promoting this stuff. The cigarette industry seems to be behind the cannabis industry. They seem to want to take over it and get people into thinking that smoking cannabis is going to be really good. That's where I see this going. It makes sense that, because it's such a big thing on the internet at the moment, and I see no other people promoting it as eating it. It's always about smoking. So that's something to think about. Is the cigarette industry trying to take over the cannabis industry to turn those into the new type of cigarettes, to sell it as cigarettes? People don't think like that, do they? That's why it's got such a big fucking backing on the internet. That's why it's promoted all over the fucking place. Everywhere you look, somebody's talking about cannabis being smoked as being great. No matter where you look, it's always talked about. So I'm incredibly suspicious of it now. Incredibly suspicious. Because you don't see animals smoking cannabis in the wild. You don't see, I mean, even the people living to the hundreds in certain tribes in Africa and in other places in the world, they're not smoking cannabis, alright? They're eating healthily. They're looking after themselves. They're just not eating rubbish. They're not taking drugs all the time. They might be chewing cocoa, or, I mean, you can smoke cocoa, but they might be chewing it, or chewing the cannabis plant sometimes, but they certainly don't smoke this shit. So, I mean, that's going out to the community. Do you think that the cigarette industry is partially trying to take over this and get people getting riled up so they can put pressure on the government to legalize it and then sell it as a cigarette? That's what I think is happening. Makes sense. So, if it does get legalized, it's going to get legalized as a fucking cigarette, because that's how you're promoting it, guys. Anyway, thank you for watching. Goodbye for now. See you later.